Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. Now, do you run a business with your partner and struggle finding that balance between working, living, and raising children with your partner? Well, today, Gus, Arianto, and I are fortunate to chat to our guest speaker, Verity Hare, founder and director at TradieWives, a collaboration platform designed to support wives and partners of tradies in the daily management of their business. Verity is here today to teach us all about the importance of finding that right balance when running a business and surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Welcome to the show, Verity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, Verity. Thank you so much for donating your time for Leader Talk. We are a non-commercial podcast, and any insight from like-minded people like yourself to help small, medium business all over the world is well received by a lot of people. So thank you so much for donating your time for us.
Welcome. Such a pleasure.
Thank you, Verity. And before we begin, we'd love to ask you the two fun questions that we prepare for all our guests. And your first one would be, if you could have any job in the world for just one day, what would that job be and why?
It's got to be a host on Getaway. Something that I've always wanted to do since I was little. Always watched the show and thought that would be the best job in the world, to get paid to travel around the world and report on all the amazing countries. So that would be my dream job for one day. But I don't know how much travel I get done in one day. It'd have to be pretty zippy. I want to see so many things.
That's awesome. Never thought of that one. That's a great one. And what about, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day or a big week?
It's pretty boring, actually. It's literally just coming home, having a shower, putting on my dressing gown and having a glass of wine and watching Gardening Australia or something like that. It's very boring, but because life is so busy, I really appreciate my downtime at home.
That's great. Thank you so much. And look, Verity, before we go into the questions, we did give a really quick intro at the beginning about yourself, but can you tell us more about who you are and also about TradieWives, so our audience does understand who you are and also the business that you run?
Yeah, so basically I started a completely accidental business. About 5 years ago, my husband's a landscaper, and I was watching him working on the tools all day, coming home, being very stressed and overwhelmed, trying to answer a million phone calls, do quotes, do invoicing, keep his tax up to date. And he was really struggling, and he is very, very good at what he does, on the tools. And the business side of stuff he just sort of hated. And my background is marketing and advertising, and I was watching him and I thought, gosh, I can really add some value and take some of this pressure off. And he was getting busier and busier. So I sort of started a day or two helping him behind the scenes with all his sort of back office side of stuff. And then it went really well. So I ended up leaving my job and going full time. So I started doing that. And then I thought, gosh, I have no idea about trades. I have no idea where to find an accountant, what to do about getting an apprentice, how to hire somebody, how to set up Xero. So I did my own research, and I thought there's got to be other women in my role doing this, whether they like it or not. So there's got to be women to connect with. So I started a Facebook group, thinking that no one would join it. And it turns out there was 21,000 other women feeling exactly like I was. So yeah, it just kind of took off from there.
I think that's the amazing thing, where, you don't realize, you think you're the only one out there with all these problems, yet 21,000 members you have today. That's incredible, Verity. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know whether I should say this, but I like when you said whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, there are many business owner with partners, and the partners want to help, but then they are limited in the knowledge. That's normal, because the passion of the partner, not necessarily the passion of the other half. So what a wonderful story and a start of a business for you as well.
Oh, thank you.
And what we're going to be discussing, I know that a lot of the audience will relate to this, finding a balance. It is tough. We all know it is. And, before we go into the business side, Verity, we'd love if you can share your own personal experience in balancing both work, family, and life when running a business. Because we know there's more to than just tradies wives. You're also busy with other things as well. How do you balance? Because we're all time poor, right? Whether we're running a business or in corporate, Gus, like it's difficult.
And just to put a context, so you are the business partner of your partner in the landscape business and more. You own and running Tradies Wife, a platform with members, and it's actually a business.
Yeah.
And you have to find balance. So this is
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. It's something that takes a lot of work. It's not something that will happen quickly, I don't think. Especially when you're so passionate about what you do, I think it's really hard to have that kind of separation between, normal life and work, because you're so passionate about it that even in your off times, you're talking about it or you're thinking of ideas. So it's really hard to find that separation, but you have to be able to step outside and shut down and have a break from the business, because you've got to recharge yourself. You've got to, just have some time for just you and not all the business stuff all the time. I find that particularly for me now, I've started working in an office, which is really helpful because I try and have separation between my work hours and my home hours. But just implementing things like trying to set office hours as much as you can, making a point of once a week going to dinner and not talking about the business. But it's really hard. It is really hard to have that separation. But you just have to try and implement things as much as you can, because you need time to shut down and recharge so you can be a better business owner when you come back to it.
Maybe now I know why you choose getaway host. I know this.
That's it, Gus. That's it.
Right? See. It's not a. It's actually a very thoughtful answer, Nat. Why
It is.
Verity want that? Now back to the balance side. I wanna ask your opinion about this. You mentioned about it's very difficult to find balance when you or your partner have a passion for their business, and most of our audience are small and medium business owner. Of course, they, majority of it will start the business or run a business because that's their passion. But the balance, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, and please correct me if I'm different to what you see. It is a challenge to find balance in the absence of allowing your goal, your purpose arrive in due time. Means that if tomorrow I want Tradies Wife to have 1 million member, obviously tonight I will not be able to sleep. Moving from 21,000 to 1 million. But if I say that I want to grow my Tradies Wife from 21,000 to 21,001, tomorrow, maybe I can have a balance. So what's your view around this to all of us, small and medium business owners, that, we have a passion to grow our business. We want to get there fast because we're getting older every day as well. We don't have 20 years to get there. Or maybe I'm old, so I don't have 20 years again. What's your view around this? How do we manage this passion?
Yeah, I completely understand that. And I think as well, for me, particularly when you're first starting out, you have so many ideas and you have so many things that you want to do all at once. It's like you find something that, is working and you enjoy it and it's a business, and you think, oh gosh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And you can't rest. You just want to get it all done and you want it done now. But you burn out. You burn out, essentially, is when you're trying to do everything, you're trying to grow quickly. You get to a point where it's all great in the beginning and then you just burn out, and it's just, the business suffers from that. the business knows when you're in a state of burnout. So I suppose your goals have to be, realistic. I've learned to really rein things in a little bit, to sort of just focus on one thing that's achievable, and also have that downtime, like I was saying, have that downtime to sort of refresh and restore and come back and look at the business again. When you're constantly working in it, wanting to achieve things quickly, you get burnout, and it ends up just working the other way. So.
And I think when we talk about downtime, it actually means do not think about the business. I actually spoke to a client recently, and she shared a really interesting story. Her downtime, she thought, was family dinner time. Her and her husband and wife team, run a very successful luxury home building business. Beautiful work, so passionate, very successful. And they thought the family dinner time around the table was their downtime. It was their family time. And her child submitted an essay based on what the parents do for work as part of a high school assignment. Now, this essay, the mother said, was phenomenal, like just amazing. Didn't even know her daughter was doing this. It was just amazing. And she said, how did you know all this? And she said, after all the conversations we've had around the dinner table about the business, I was able to pull it all together myself. So it was that not realizing that what they thought was actually downtime was in fact still the conversation of the business. So I think what people need to realize that are listening today, you really need to switch off. When Verity says have that downtime, it's not just have dinner with the family and still talk about, the landscaping business or the luxury home business. It's actually talk about what you did, or, your day, or just talk about anything but work, which is really hard sometimes.
So hard. Very, very hard. But it has to
Natalie,
be. It has to be done.
And Natalie, you are in the same situation with Jared, your husband, which is my friends as well. You both have put yourself in the same business, but running your own business. So two business. I still want to know more. How do you actually go on Saturday or Friday or whatever day you choose and not talk about it when the reality is the pressure that come to both of that business impact the business?
It's very hard. It is very hard. And even when you say, even like if we go on holidays, for example, I'll give you an example. We need to consciously say, okay, for this morning, we are not going to take our mobiles, check emails. You physically have to put boundaries in place. For us, it's the boundaries. If we don't, it's very easy to pick up a phone call, very easy to check Teams or email. It's readily available. We can't switch off, like close up the office and go. We take that device with us. We are contactable all the time. So for us is boundaries, and it's still very hard. It's not easy. Definitely not. And I just want to stay on that topic of boundaries. Do you agree, Verity, with establishing effective boundaries? That's the only way Jared and I can do it, with boundaries. In actual fact, there's some weekends where we say, look, we're going to go to do something and we've got to leave the mobiles away. Do you believe that boundaries are the only way to actually switch off? Have you got any other techniques that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, no, it is definitely boundaries, and it's just being, like you said, very firm in those boundaries, because Craig's been in situations, my husband's been in situations where clients are messaging him at 9:30 at night on a Saturday, and they're calling and they're emailing, and like emailing is fine, people email late, but you don't have to respond at 10 o'clock at night. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be immediate. You can see it and acknowledge it, well, even don't look at all, but then come back in your own office hours and do it in your time. So it's really being firm in those boundaries and those office hours. And yeah, it is really hard, but I really feel like you teach other people how to treat you. And I think if you're implementing those boundaries, your clients will really appreciate and respect that, and know that you won't respond outside of those office hours. Because if you respond, sometimes, Craig would respond to that 9:30 at night on a Saturday text, and they'd just keep going, and they'd think, okay, well, he does that, so it's acceptable for me to do it tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But if he didn't and did it when he was working, I think they respect that.
And Verity, based on, you obviously deal a lot with tradies' wives, tradies' partners. What are some, because we would have a lot listening in at the moment, what are some common challenges that you think that tradespeople and their families specifically actually have when it comes to maintaining this work-life balance? Are there any, because there'd be people listening in now that are just going, do you know what, I can so relate to this. And they think that they're the only ones in the world like this. But we're all in a similar boat. And it sometimes is quite reassuring knowing you're not the only one out there. And there are support groups and, tradies' wives, for example, where you can go to for assistance there as well. So are there some common challenges that you can just share with us? And perhaps how do they, what advice to overcome some of these?
Yeah, I think particularly at the moment, the trade industry is really tough. It's a really, really tough industry to be in. There's a lot of builders collapsing at the moment, a lot of people losing a lot of money, like hundreds and thousands of dollars, with the interest rates rising, and people are very uncertain about spending their money. The work is in some places sort of tapering off a little bit because people are so uncertain about it, and that's something that's really difficult because when it's it affects a lot of people's mental health, and I think that the women bear the brunt of that, supporting their tradie in that sort of, I think there's still this bit of a stigma around men not really speaking about how they feel, but sort of women take that on. And I think that that's something that's really hard as well to separate, because obviously when you're not working but you're trying to enjoy your family life, that kind of seeps in because your mental health is always there. It's even if you're trying to shut off, you're still worried. So I really believe that having this supportive community, a place like a safe space, somebody that you can trust and just be very open and honest and real, and I guarantee there are so many other people feeling exactly the same. They're facing the same challenges, they're going through the same thing. So I really believe just being open and honest and trying to just voice it, just speak about it. I think that helps as well with the boundaries when you're not holding it all in. It's to be able to talk about it and have some separation.
So Verity, you have a lot of members. You are surrounded by we're not talking 20, we're talking 20,000. So your insight about a lot challenges of business owners with their partners are real. Most people will not allow themselves to be to create a boundaries, or to even stop, to even not talk about it, because many people will be worried that if they stop, it will impact the business. Yet what I can feel from your insights here is you actually have to do that to actually improve your business, because in absence of creating boundaries and discipline to look after yourself and your partner when you run a business, your business can suffer. Am I right? Is that what actually happened? That you don't have a choice. You actually need to do this because in the absence of creating boundaries and really put a discipline, you can't get at your goal because you will burn out. Is that what the
Yeah, completely. And the best piece of advice actually that I ever got was, when things are really bad in your business, when things are so bad and you feel like there's no way out and you can't go on and you can't leave, you just have to continue in the business, the best thing you can do is remove yourself completely from the situation. Turn off the phone, turn off the emails, if you can go away for a night or 2 nights, do that. Even if it's just, for a few hours for a dinner, but just shut everything down and completely remove yourself from the situation. And just have some time I think sometimes the best things come when we're not in it and when we're away from it, and you have time for your head to clear and things seem to sort themselves out. So I really believe that when you feel like you can't have those boundaries and things are too busy or too intense to put those boundaries in, that's when you need them the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Verity, it's interesting you say that, because my brother actually runs he is in a flooring business. He runs a business, and today he's actually taken the day off, and his is fishing. He loves fishing. And my question to him was, why are you fishing? You're supposed to be selling, growing the business. What are you doing? And he goes, I just need a day off. And this is what, and I kind of went, hey, you know, I don't really do it. Why are you doing it? But listening to you say that, I now understand that after such a hard couple of weeks at work, all he's done is gone out there and he's recharging. And I'm getting photos how happy he is of the fish he's catching. But that's what it is about, recharging, right? It's something as simple as going on your own. For him, it's fishing and just doing nothing.
And before you say anything, Verity, this is really happened, right? The people that closest to you. So we're talking about Natalie as his sister, actually questioning him why he go fishing when he probably have the hardest job in the last 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. And what Verity say before, this is why discipline to disconnect, discipline to actually taking the time off and the boundary is so important, because the poison can come from the place where it's so close to you. So sorry, Nat, I'm not saying you're the poison.
No, Gus, it's true though. I was the poison in this conversation, where I'm the one that's going, but why are you doing that? You know, listening to my husband, who's the business coach, it's, you know, you're supposed to be out there selling. Have you got enough? You know, it's all those things where he was disciplined enough, Gus, to say, no, I'm taking the day off and I'm going fishing and no one's going to change my mind. And it's a tough spot to be. And like you said, especially if it's coming from your wife or something like that, right, Verity? Are there situations, is that a lot of what you find where, you know, I guess wives may be questioning why their husbands need time off or anything like that? Have you come across scenarios like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes what it is that it's funny that you say that, Natalie, because people can see it as lazy or not working hard enough. But and this is what I've recognized a lot now from running the group and seeing this quite a lot, is that women will come in and say, oh, my partner, you know, he's done this, or he's, you know, had a day where he's literally on the lounge and watched TV, or, you know, he's gone out and had a beer with the boys and done this. Like, why isn't he doing X, Y, and Z? I think some people don't recognize that it's a mental health thing, that they're so burnt out or they're so overwhelmed and overworked that they just need to stop and have a day on the lounge watching the TV, go and have a drink with their friends. It's not a matter of being lazy or unhelpful or like, you know, what, he's not working, so why can't he now come in and help with the kids, or why can't he do this? It's like, well, he just, you know, I can pick it up that it's, you know, they're so burnt out that they just need that time to stop, and, you know, they just can't keep going in that state.
So Verity, can I ask? I apologize to the audience because sometimes my questions can be out of context. But can I say that not every partner might have the same experience and you know, strength as you, Verity, or you, Nat, where they need also help. I mean, you know, the partners need help as well. They've been at home. If I'm assuming, you know, for that situation, there's a lot of business owner with the partners, because the business takes so much time that the other half have to be at home. So when you actually finish at the end of the day and exhausted, we at home need help as well. What's the risk of not understanding that, you know, the two situation, including the one that running the business, probably sometimes forget that at home is as hard as running the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's got to be that understanding, and it's got to be obviously an equal balance of taking turns of helping out and having a break. And I think it's just so it has to be so respecting boundaries and downtime. So it's sort of, you know, get done and you help each other out, but you both have that time away and you both respect that, you know, each other.
I think we're having technical difficulties, Verity, hearing you. We're breaking out. Gus, are you having the same issue on your end?
Yeah. But I don't know whether that's Verity or the channel. Sorry to the audience. Can you hear the cracking?
Can you hear everything?
I can't hear Verity. I can hear you, Gus.
Let me try that.
That's better.
How's that?
No,
Perfect.
that's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Beautiful.
No, that does sound good. Yeah. I was going to say, just to add to that, a common thing just on that topic also, Gus, you've raised a really valid point there, where I think sometimes a misconception that can happen, and I've done it myself before, you know, I have 3 children and you're running the business, you've got the 3 children, the partner comes home, and raising 3 children is also hard, but running a business is also hard. Everyone's got different, you know, Gus, you work in corporate, that's hard. Some people travel, everyone's jobs, and no one's jobs are easy. But sometimes there could be the, you know, the partners come home and, okay, now you can take the children, I need a break, where it's quite hard. Even that boundary, establishing that itself can be a challenge as well, Gus. And I think sometimes it comes down to actually having the chats and establishing some sort of balance where everyone helps out with what you've said, Verity. It's actually juggling it. It's not as soon as you come, you know, the partner comes home after a hard days of work, you take the children while the, you know, it does need it's a real juggling act, and there's no right and wrong. If I'm right, Verity, every situation is different. Everyone's business is different, but it's communication, isn't it? Where that's the key to all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, it's like you both know what needs to be done. You both help out, but you both have your downtime and you respect each other's downtime. I think that's, yeah.
Verity, I want to bring the topic to just slightly to a different topic. It's easy for us now to see, hey, Verity run a business. It's called TradieWives. It's a platform, many members across Australia. The husband have business, just about to grow the business again to a different field. That's right now. So let's bring it back to a few years back when it just started. And I want to represent the other partners of many business owners. When your partner, say I'm a business owner, I'm a plumber, and my wife say to me, I want to help. Can I help you guys? You know, my instinct could say, I don't think you know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm a plumber. You are a chef. I don't know. I'm just putting a bad example here. But what message you give to the other partner, the other half, the other whatever you want to call it, realizing that people want to help, the nearest people around you want to help. But at the start, I'm sure at the start, like I'm just trying to think. Sorry, I do not know your husband's name. Just to put a context, may I know your husband's name? Just to put a
Craig.
So
yeah.
So when you say to Craig initially, "Hey, Craig, I'm happy to help you," so, you know, as an example, I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe I can't be sure, but. You know, help on what? I'm so busy. I'm going left, right, and center. You want to help? You're not an accountant. You're not a HR person. You have no idea about landscaping. You have no idea about plumbing. You have no. But yet now, in few years, you both run a successful business. So, what message you give to us that involved in the business and have the other half want to help?
Yep.
And they have no idea. We assume that the other half have no idea.
Yeah.
Our perception.
Yeah, that's it. We get this a lot, and it's like a lot of people will come into the group and like, yeah, like you said, hey, my husband's a plumber. Like, I really want to help out. What do I do? So where do I start? Where do I even begin? Prior to starting TradieWives, I mean, and this is how it all came about, because prior to starting TradieWives, I was in that exact situation. I knew what needed to be done, but I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea how to quote a landscaping job or how to employ somebody or how to do tax, or I had no idea, I had no idea about anything. And it was many hours of me doing my own research behind the scenes of like, what is Xero? How do I do Xero? How do I set up an accounting program? How do I hire someone? And it was a lot of my own research. Craig had no idea. He just sort of left me to it. He was like, if you want to help, good luck. I was just like in the office going, great, I've had this great idea. What do I do? So it did come about from doing my own research and then thinking, oh, there's other women I could probably ask ideas and ask how to do things. And, then in turn, TradieWives came about. So, I mean, my advice is if you're thinking about doing it, absolutely give it a go. You don't have to know the trade. You can learn. And there are so many other people in your situation who I guarantee have the same challenges and questions, and they're so happy to give advice and ask. And, that it's something that if you have the right people around you that can help support you in that, that are in a similar position, then it's just, there's no right or wrong way either. It's just doing as much or as little as you can to start, and then learning and growing with the role.
And what you're saying to people like me that have the partner want to help, are you saying accept it because we need help?
Yeah, I'm think that it's just, I think if it's something that you, and also this is very important, that if it has to be something that you want to help with.
Yeah.
I find a lot of the time that people do it and they don't really want to do it, but they feel like they have to do it. And then it ends up,
yes.
you end up resenting each other, and it's very, very bad. In that situation, if you can outsource it, because you have to want to do it, because otherwise it will just end up being it's hard, but it'll end up being a bit of a mess if you don't even want to do it in the first place. So it's sort of like, if there's an opportunity for you to outsource things where you can, I definitely would advise on that. And also on that, like things that you do, play to your strengths in this, like find things that you enjoy, things that you don't enjoy. Like for me, it's bookkeeping. My brain freezes. I can't deal with numbers. I never have been able to. So bookkeeping for me is like, I'll end up in jail. If I do the bookkeeping, we'll both end up in jail because I'll do something wrong. So I outsource that. But yeah, definitely if you want to do something, you want to get started, play to your strengths, do stuff that you enjoy, and outsource the rest where you can.
I'm curious to know, Verity, since you've come on board to help Craig, has it strengthened the business as a whole? Rather than him doing it as on his own, having his partner there helping him, has it strengthened the business?
Yeah, definitely. Because he can focus on what he enjoys. He didn't enjoy the business side of it. I don't mind it. But he doesn't have to worry now about things piling up and the stress and people calling him and him not getting back to people and all the quotes were sitting there and no systems or anything in place. It's all kind of the systems that we've implemented are helping things run smoothly in the back end. And he's now able to focus on what he enjoys, which is doing the work and bringing in more business.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you just mentioned recently, Verity, which is another topic that we want to discuss, is surrounding yourself with these like-minded people. Now, you obviously surround yourself with a lot of people and you get a lot of questions. But how important, I guess, even from your personal experience, how important has it been to surround yourself with like-minded people?
Yeah, really important. And I don't think you realize just how important that is until you do it. And I think that, it's almost like having work colleagues, it's people who understand the same challenges you're going through. They spark new conversations, they spark new ideas and things you maybe haven't even thought about. They come in and go, oh, did you know there's this incentive or there's this happening or this happening? And it's like, oh no, I had no idea about that. I'll go and look into it. And it's so important to have a place where you can go that also is, a safe space where you can go and really speak about how you're feeling or be honest and open about the challenges that you're facing.
And when we talk about like-minded people, do we talk about how do we actually let's say we're starting a business from scratch. We can be a plumbing business again, Gus. How do we even know where to, how do we find these people? I'm starting from scratch. Yeah, I need help. How do I network? Where do I go? What do I do? What would be your advice to these people?
Yeah, there's lots of, starting out in just, Facebook groups is a very good thing to do. Social media is great. Looking at like-minded businesses, there's a lot of, networking groups online. There's lots of industry events that you can go to. You can just sort of search industry events, but also just by, starting on social media, joining Facebook groups, that sort of thing, you get to learn about what's coming up and, come to this networking event, or there's this lunch on, or there's this industry event. You get talking to people and people tell you more about networking opportunities.
And this is, and Gus, we've spoken about before, businesses are really time poor. For those that are listening in now, they're doing 60-hour weeks or whatever it is, and I don't have time to network. I don't have time to meet people. I can just hear this in, people thinking this out loud now. What's your advice to them? If they're running a business, they don't have time for networking because they've got to finish businesses, they've got to do the books, they've got to do all these things. What would you say to them, to those?
I just think it's, I was a bit the same. I was like, networking, what? Who would bother with that? But it is just, not only is word of mouth the best form of marketing there is, I believe. It's also, like I was saying before, about having those people to share common challenges with, to be able to talk through any problems that you're having. All those hours that you're spending where you don't have time to network, you could be talking to people that have the solution. So it's just, it's so much more important than people think. So yeah, my advice is definitely just get started, even if it's just small. Just join a Facebook group and, spend 5 minutes chatting or making a connection with somebody.
Yeah, I think the word networking can be, it's already challenging for a lot of people because we view networking as a traditional networking where we have to drive or go to a city somewhere. We have to sit down for 3 hours meeting with people we do not know. Yet what you're saying is, today in this day and age, networking can be as simple as conversation of sentences within a group chat. It could be meeting with people of a social media where you don't even have to have your own photos. I mean, you can have a photo of your lovely pets if you want, and you can still discuss about how do you handle bookkeeping when we are so busy doing a landscape business, for example. And I think this is where I think a lot of people do not enjoy the word networking itself. In my opinion, I could be wrong around this, but the word networking is accepted as a traditional. Oh God, I have to go there. There's 20 people there. I don't even know them. So what do I talk about?
Especially when coming from. Sorry, Verity. I was going to say, especially when you're introverted and networking is scary, right? Social media, what you've said, Verity, has made it that whole bit easier. You can reach out to anyone these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I still hate in-person networking events. I don't do a lot of it because I really don't like it. I feel much better doing it on social media, behind the screen, I suppose, and not sort of, and also it's a time thing too. Sometimes you don't have the time to face-to-face network, and that could be valid, but you can sort of make that time to jump, onto Facebook or onto Instagram or on social media and just reach out and just sort of start a conversation. And you don't actually have to drive somewhere and do it, but you can still network effectively online.
So can we then ask, Verity, so with TradieWives, obviously you've got a network of 21,000 people there. Like that's a massive network. Massive. How do how do the members, what opportunities do they have for networking, just so people can get an understanding of how networking does work, and perhaps they can join TradieWives as well? How does it actually work?
Yep. So people will, you'll come into the group, for example, a Facebook group, you come in, and it's just sort of, people will create a post in the group about, we find this a lot. People will be like, hey, I'm in this area. Is anybody else in this area? Does anyone want to have a quick coffee, or does anyone want to jump online for a quick Zoom? Or, is there anyone around me? And people just put the call out to see if there's people in their area, and then they'll get talking and be like, oh, you're in this area, hey, did you know that there's this coffee morning on, or did you know that there's this builders coach doing a event, that did you want to go together? And yeah, it's really just a case of sparking a conversation, seeing who's near you, seeing who's in the same kind of industry, that you can kind of bounce ideas off. So yeah, it's just sort of putting it out there, what you do, where you are, and people will sort of jump in. And people really crave connection. So sometimes it can be a bit nerve-wracking putting it out there, but guaranteed there's people who just really appreciate the connection.
And I guess some of the benefits are, it's not just finding like-minded people. There's also the opportunity for more work. Would you agree with that, Verity, with all the networks that are happening at TradieWives as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a lovely thing in the group where people will put a call out saying, hey, I need a plumber, but I really want to use somebody in TradieWives. I really want to support somebody in the group. And, they already have that common connection of when they see the plumber, they're like, oh, you're in the group too. And they have like a common bond, and, they have a really enjoyable experience. And yeah, so there's definitely so much networking, and there's so many businesses I see that are like, oh, we're builders and we need to have an electrician on board. We'd love to connect to somebody that we can refer, so whenever we do building jobs, we can use you as our referral for our electrician. And so they end up having these whole networks, and they all refer each other, which is really nice.
And I think even with apprenticeships, right, Verity, like I read a lot about how hard it is to hire. How would networking assist with that? I guess that's something that TradieWives assists with as well, because we see them all the time. I see posts constantly where people are looking for first year, second year, and it's quite lengthy periods. It's not easy to find in a network such as TradieWives. How would that benefit something like looking for an apprentice?
Yeah, we've got so many tradie mums in the group as well, and they're always like, my son's looking for an apprenticeship. While they have a trade, they also know a son or a friend's son or whatever it is, or a friend's daughter. And we actually have a job board on our website, so anyone in the group, they can post on the job board, so it shows the list of jobs that are going, and then people in the group can sort of refer to the job board and see what's available. And I know my next door neighbor is looking for a job, or I know, my friend over there is looking for a job. So yeah, it's definitely effective, because you just don't know who people, when you network with someone, you then get their network, and it's like, how many friends and sons and daughters are looking for work. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, Jared, my husband, is part of a networking group, and I have to admit the benefits that come with networking, where he actually meets with people. They develop an authentic connection, so that when we need, a plumber, an electrician, a printer, things that we don't do, you've already met the person. There's that trust. It's authentic. It just comes quite easily. There are so many rewards from actually networking. So I hear everything you're saying, Verity. Is there any kind of success stories, anything you can share with us based on that from TradieWives, where, they've been able to get great apprentices, or anything from generally networking?
Yeah, I definitely hear a lot of success stories in our group about, I put the call out for an apprentice, and, Jan's daughter was looking, or Jan's son was looking, and we ended up getting them, and they're fantastic, and we're really happy. And I see so many success stories in the group, which is so wonderful, about people successfully finding employees through the network, and also building, like you said, those authentic connections where they end up referring each other. And it's really wonderful to see, particularly in this climate in the trade industry.
I think the other thing as well about networking, and how I can see this, for the business owner itself, or for whoever in a situation of challenge, we can feel like we are alone. Yet the problem is actually all could be similar to many different areas, different businesses, or similar-minded people at the same industry. And to be able to actually, hey, I've been there a year ago, and these are the steps that I took and actually helped me. And instead of waiting for another 6 months trying to figure it out, the answer could be there through the networking, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah, absolutely. And I think specifically for me in TradieWives, I really try and have that like that safe community where people can just sort of come in and just say, hey, like at the moment, I don't really feel like I want a resolution for this, but I just want to say how I'm feeling and put it out there, and they'll just get it out and they'll feel better about saying it. But then other people, like you said, will jump on and say, yeah, that was me. I've been through that and this is how I fixed it. Or, yeah, I had a client owing me money and I was in the same situation, but this is what I did and I resolved it and I got my money and the problem solved. And it's just having that safe space to be able to say exactly how you're feeling even without the hope of resolution, but just putting it out there, and naturally people come in and say, oh, I've been there too, so you don't have to actually formulate 100% what you're asking. You can just sort of say how you feel and the solution will come.
I like that. It's a safe space, isn't it? No one has all the answers. Doesn't matter what business you're running. It is just a safe space where you can go to people to help you, reassure you, give you advice.
Yeah, that's right. And just understand what you're going through.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Gus, we're nearing the end of the show, so I'm actually going to hand it over to you to wrap up for today.
No problem. Thank you. And Verity, once again, thank you so much. I think one thing that is really clear, opportunity can arise even when things is not well planned. I mean, when we hear about the story about how you opened TradieWives, it started with a good intent to help Craig in his business. And now not only his business grew, but you also have a business called TradieWives. And I like the fact that you put a lot of effort in growing your passion with your business while still maintaining the business of your partner. So that is fantastic. So these are the key things that I think, and I hope I do justice. Obviously, the recording of this it's live and it's available on every podcast channel. But what you said, it is important that we create balance and boundaries. I think that's the one thing that I really take. Running a business requires discipline, and this includes discipline to balance your life and work. We don't just talk about discipline on work, but it's actually even be very disciplined on when you actually stop. When things are really, really bad, the best thing you can do is to elevate and remove yourself temporarily so you can balance your pressure. You cannot stay in there. And how do you remove yourself? Well, if you like fishing, like Natalie brother, then go fishing. If you like to go networking, then you go networking. But find yourself a time to actually having a break and find a place where you can actually voice your concern, because the answer of your problems might be already available through networking. Then we move to the topic of networking. When you are in business, finding like-minded people is key to your success. Networking is not necessarily face-to-face, traditional face-to-face where you meet with people. Networking can be as simple as cranking up your social media presence and trying to find like-minded people. And before you know it, you have TradieWives, a platform with 21,000 people helping each other. Verity, thank you so much for sharing your insight. Natalie and I privileged to have your time, and I hope the topic today can be beneficial for a lot of people all over the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Verity, as well. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiact.com.au. Bye, everyone.